Hello and welcome to the first live show of any kind, not just Etch Play, the first live thing of 2021. Nothing else has been live until now. We've got exclusive rights to that. And I am joined for our very first live show of the year by the man with a plan. It's Dan Thomas. Hi, Dan.
Hello, how are we doing?
Good, good, good. Hello to everyone in the chat today. Who have we got in here? We've got Tony, we've got Ben. Stick around, Ben's joining the show later, actually. We've got Rob. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to do the usual. It's 2021, but our attitude hasn't changed to giving you all the latest industry news and discussion from the world of video games. And we're going to start with some news. Does that sound good?
That sounds excellent.
Okay. I do have to start with a slightly somber news piece, though, and just to quickly
Because nobody has any somber news going on in the world at the moment.
I know 2021 is a lot already. We're like 7 days in, and it's already a lot. But the gaming world rightfully took a backseat yesterday to some horrendous events unfolding in the Capitol building in the United States. And the only reason we bring it up here is because there is a relevant gaming story to bring to you if you work in games. Twitch have banned the PogChamp emote. They've removed it from their system. If you are familiar with Twitch, you might know the PogChamp face. It's a surprised-looking face. That face has been removed as an option to spam into chat because of controversial and, frankly, abhorrent views that the man depicted has. The face of PogChamp, has some very anti-democratic views, shall we say, that he was sharing on Twitter, so Twitch have taken this step. So yeah, Twitch have stopped using it, we're going to stop using it, and if you work in games marketing, you might want to consider stop using it as well. And yeah, that's pretty all we have to say about that. We don't want to, make the whole show a total downer about all the bad things happening in the world. And I guess it goes back to something that you've talked about before, Dan, which is just the need to be on the pulse with these sorts of things and be authentic and be immersed in what's happening, because otherwise you run the risk of being very untimely with your marketing activity.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is a real danger for people in such. We've got social media platforms. We aren't on weekly or even daily news cycles. Things are happening up to the minute, and your social media teams, your comms needs to be mindful of so many different things, and it is difficult. And so it's a reflection of the landscape we're in.
Difficult times for many reasons. Let's have some good news then to balance that out ever so slightly. Respawn Entertainment, the creators of Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, some job postings have got out there which have hinted at their next project. Seems to be a new IP, and the game promises to let players adventure forever, is the quote that's doing the rounds. So people are kind of reading into this. They're assuming it's going to be a game as a service. They're assuming something, in the vein of Destiny, or something that has a very long shelf life. But yeah, that's quite an exciting development. They're a very talented developer. I imagine we'd all be excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, I'm a huge Respawn fan, and they've obviously got a pretty impressive track record from Titanfall to Apex Legends to, as you said, Fallen Order. So yeah,
I mean,
and
if it's Titanfall, but forever, that's fine with me.
Yeah, sign me up for that. And I mean, I know it was kind of like there was a job post and it's kind of a leak, but I don't think they really lost any great value from that. It's like, oh, excellent game studio working on a new game is not really too devastating a leak for them, hopefully. So look forward to that, whatever that transpires to be.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find out maybe at some point this year. We still don't really know what the calendar's going to look like this year in terms of events like E3, but I'm sure whatever happens, there'll be a number of online conferences and trailers to look forward to as the year progresses. Speaking of current times and the way games is at the minute, it wouldn't be an Etch Play live show without telling you about the latest delay. So the latest delay we have to tell you about is Outriders. This is People Can Fly, who made Bulletstorm, and published by Square Enix. This game was originally slated for the 2nd of February. It's now been pushed only slightly to April 1st, and they've said that's not a joke, that's legitimately the day it's coming out. And they've also committed to releasing a demo on the 25th of February, so we will get a chance to play it before the end of February. But bad news for Outriders fans who were looking forward to that. You have to wait a little bit longer, but hopefully that will turn out to be a good game.
What do you think? Do you think games companies should be detailing release dates? It's obviously a very common conversation. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. Is there another way?
I think, I mean, definitely from our vantage point, working alongside games companies and working in a kind of technology and software space, because we build a lot of websites and systems that sit adjacent to games, we know how difficult it is to set a really distant deadline, and the projects are so large in scope now, especially some of these AAA games, and this is exactly the problem that Cyberpunk's gone through. If you announce a date really early, it's incredibly difficult for it to be accurate. It's a lot easier, I think, to take the Respawn approach that they took with Apex Legends, which was to not talk about it at all until it was ready to come out. And I think there's a balance there for most companies. Not every company has the pull of Respawn to be able to do that. There is a need to build hype, but I do think you should be close enough that you're not going to be like delaying it several times before it comes out. And obviously, COVID is a whole other thing. Like, that's impacted in ways we couldn't have predicted or imagined. But yeah, in general, I'd say, why would you commit to a release date? There's nothing to gain from that apart from disappointing people, unless you're really sure it's going to come out
Well,
at that time.
I mean, people will as soon as they get a whiff of it, they'll want to know, when can I play this.
Yeah, you can do trailers. Do a trailer and just put at the end, date TBD, or give a quarter. I guess that's
Who,
even that's
who
hard.
knew making games was hard?
Making anything is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of things being hard to make and of Cyberpunk, we mentioned this in the last show before Christmas, so just a little revisit to CD Projekt Red and their kind of ongoing woes with Cyberpunk, which is, at time of broadcast, still not back on the PlayStation Store. They're now facing potentially a class action lawsuit from investors in the company. So this is a class action lawsuit. It's a lawsuit that has a lot of plaintiffs at the same time, a lot of people banding together, and it's being put together by a couple of law firms who allege that the game is virtually unplayable on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and that investors were misled by CD Projekt Red about that version of the game. They've also taken issue with a quote from January that the game was complete and playable at that time, implying the remaining time was going to be spent on fixes and polish, which was revealed in a recent Q&A between employees and the board to have been untrue. It wasn't the case. So the investors feel a bit hard done by this, and we'll see if that makes it to court, I guess. I have a feeling it might not, but
Potentially another influencing party on why you might want to announce a release date to appease such an audience. But,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to be publicly traded, isn't it? I think it changes the game in a lot of ways. What I would say is, I'd spent some time researching this, and I was looking at the investor calls, so you can actually read all the transcripts of the investors and CD Projekt Red's board. And the investors actually seem, they're not necessarily just the parasites you would imagine they might be. They seem relatively savvy. They seem invested in the concept of the game and the studio, and they want it to do well. They're just disappointed. So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be more news to come about CD Projekt Red. We're not done hearing about them in 2021 just yet.
Definitely not.
Someone who has all the money is Epic Games. Let's talk about them. Epic Games have bought a mall, which is an American word for shopping centre, to turn into their new HQ. The Carey Town Centre is going to be converted into the company's next headquarters. Completion date is set of 2024, so a few years out, but obviously in the mood for expansion over at Epic Games. They got a lot of money. Got to do something with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm assuming they probably got a good deal on that. We know the state of retail, and you walk up any high street or in any shopping centre,
Yeah.
they probably got a good deal. I've actually been, I since this article broke, I found out that I've been to a game studio that's set in a former mall, which was actually Zynga in San Francisco. I went to an event there at one GDC, and now I know that after the fact. It's like, that's why there was a food hall in the office. It's like, that makes a lot more sense now. They didn't actually install that; they just revitalized it. Yeah. But yeah, I think
still some teenagers loitering by a fountain.
Yeah, skateboarders and
I think what's interesting about this, especially newsworthy, is that we might have expected some of these big companies to shy away from investing in on-site property for employees with the trend towards remote work. So it's quite a clear sign from Epic that they expect things to go back to co-located work by 2024, which is obviously still a long time away. I would hope we've made some gains then in the pandemic, but still interesting to note that they
It'd
see
be
it going back that way.
Interesting to have heard some of the conversations there around kind of have they changed any of their vision for the purpose and the setup and the features? Are they perhaps focusing? Okay, maybe they've dialed in with the remote working for many of the sort of more sedentary, typical desk and computer based roles, and got more creative with some of the things that you can't recreate in a remote environment. So more of the mocap and some of the sound
Yeah,
design and all those kinds of things. That'd be interesting to understand.
yep. I mean, if you're out there, Epic, Tim
Let
Sweeney,
us know.
yeah, send us a text. I await your WhatsApp with great interest. PS5 news. So you might have heard about this story over Christmas. It's quite an amusing story in a way, but it's also crazy that it was happening in the first place. So there were a number of reports that due to the system's lack of clarity around versioning, users who owned a PlayStation 5 were in fact playing the PlayStation 4 versions of games on their console, unaware that they weren't playing the PlayStation 5 version, because it downloads both of them and it surfaces the PlayStation 4 one first. You have to go into a menu to change it, or at least you did until now. A recent UI update that dropped a few days ago has made it easier to not accidentally launch the wrong version. It now comes up with a warning if you try and launch a PlayStation 4 game on a PlayStation 5, basically saying, are you sure? Like, doesn't seem like something you'd want to do, but you still can if you want to. So this is definitely an improvement. I've seen some people complaining that it's still weird that it downloads it in the first place, especially if you have a data cap or something. You don't want to download 2 versions of Call of Duty. That's your whole hard drive gone right there. But yeah, good that they're making some progress and moving in a direction. I think from the sounds of it, there's going to be a lot of refinement of that UI over the next few months and years, even potentially, because they changed a lot. Now it's out in the wild. People have opinions.
Shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking. It's surprising that we'd have thought the 5th version of the console would have maybe solved some of those questions by now. But there you go. Sticking with PlayStation, Japanese retailers are reporting that Sony is discontinuing the PlayStation 4 Pro and other models. So the slim 500GB PlayStation 4 will be the only model they continue to produce, is the story, is the rumour. Likely to remain for a long time as a kind of budget option, but obviously if you were going to buy a PlayStation 4 Pro, they would rather push you up a little bit to the PlayStation 5 at this point. And hopefully, this means they'll be able to ramp up PlayStation 5 production, refocusing manufacturing efforts on the new console rather than keeping up production of the old ones. And yeah, you've got a PlayStation 4 Pro, I want to say, Dan?
Yes, I do. Interesting. Maybe this is my buying into the hype, but I'm really starting to notice the load times, and
Yeah.
it was especially noticeable in Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, which I've been playing through lately, and just a lot of loading, and actually some of the glitches and things with the games that I've since seen PS5 versions. I'm like, that's what it's meant to be like, and it feels kind of like when you get a new, the new mobile phone generation comes out, and um, all of a sudden it seems the software is almost nudging you to
Yeah,
get the latest and greatest. So yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's good that the slim PlayStation 4 is still available at least, so you do have a kind of budget option. Although I do think if you're looking for a budget option, I don't know why you wouldn't go for a Series S at this point. I just think the price on that's ridiculous. It's like the same price as that.
And I think the second-hand market has got to be thriving at the moment as well. If you
Yeah.
want to get a good deal, that's probably where I'd look.
I think on the Xbox side of things, we're expecting similar. I do think actually they've stopped producing One X's in most countries. Similar reasons. They'd rather you just bought a new one. And yeah, they just need to make more of them. Make more Xbox Series and PlayStation 5s. It's what the
Are you
world needs.
you still hanging on for one?
I would like to get an Xbox Series X. I've been unable to acquire one thus far. But yeah, I'm looking for a powerful little Game Pass machine to tuck under the TV over there, and I think that's going to be the one. Let's talk about Nintendo. I haven't talked about them all show yet. They've acquired Next Level Games, the Canadian developers of Luigi's Mansion 3, and formerly of Super Mario Strikers. Newsworthy, Nintendo don't always buy studios. That's relatively rare. They would completely acquire somebody. They do have a lot of long-term engagements with strategic partners. But yeah, good news for the guys at Next Level Games. They're officially part of the Nintendo family. Congratulations.
Good stuff. And if they were working with the Super Mario brand, they're obviously a trusted partner. And as I understand it, that Luigi's Mansion 3 has been well received.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask Ben about it. Ben's on the
Yeah.
show later. He got it for Christmas. I'll ask him for his hot take on Luigi's Mansion 3.
Very fun game, he
he's
says.
already in the chat.
There he is.
Yeah, there you go. The hottest of takes from Ben. Luigi's Mansion is very fun. Provocative marketing there. We always end on a game for good every news article. So this is the idea that games can be a powerful force for good. We believe that here at Etch Play. And the story I want to highlight this week is the Mobo Game Jam, which I'm going to put a link into the chat if you're watching on Twitch live. This is a great idea for a game jam. So this is going to be creators and creatives creating a game under very strict circumstances, a very short window of time, prototyping radical new ideas. And the idea behind this game jam specifically is to imagine and inspire a future where everyone has access to clean water. So this is in partnership with charities who are operating around the world to make that happen, but also in partnership with Digital Schoolhouse, who are part of Yuki, friends of ours, and also working with WaterAid, who are a very reputable water-based charity. So yeah, if you're interested in making games, maybe you think you want to try making something.
It's for ages 8 to 18, which is also a nice little initiative, trying to get young people's sort of feet in the door, but also supported by industry pros as well. So there's a nice kind of educational angle as well, which is a nice touch.
Oh yeah, you're right. You can't even do it if you're over 18.
I mean, you can help.
No
you
adults allowed. It's going to be like when they marketed Yorkies as not for girls and then exclusively women buy them. But yeah, great initiative. Very happy to see that happening, and we always love seeing the output of game jams. So we'll be excited to see what comes out of that one. It's time for our first pre-recorded segment of 2021, and it's actually with both me and Dan. So we're going to throw two older versions of ourselves playing Call of the Sea on Game Pass, and we will see you afterwards for a conversation with Ben Joy all about fashion and video games. He's a very fashionable man, that Ben Joy. So
he really isn't, is he?
Wow, savage. I think he's fashionable at times. Fashionably
it's not...
late.
Yeah.
We'll see him in about 10 minutes' time. This is Call of the Sea, and we'll see you back here very shortly. Bye. Hey, this is Call of the Sea by Raw Fury, and I'm joined by Dan Thomas to look at this game. It's 2021 now, and we're celebrating by looking back at some hidden gems from 2020, and today's is Call of the Sea. This is a point-and-click adventure game. It's not necessarily my forte, so that's why I've got Dan here. Dan's going to help me out. Dan's going to be my man with a plan. Dan, you played this.
Yeah.
You played this over the Christmas break, right?
Yes, played this, real expert, as we've just demonstrated, by seamlessly getting to this point, solving that first clue without any problems at all, didn't we?
Yeah, for the viewers at home who have missed the preamble to this, it took us a long time to get to the beginning of the game. So let's see how we get on here. We're going to an island. I'm a woman with a missing husband, and I've come to find him on this island.
This can't be a coincidence.
And there's the title.
It was almost like you timed that. That was very good.
I'm professional.
So you're not typically much of a puzzle game fan?
I can be. I mean, I do like a narrative-driven game. Like I was a big fan of Telltale's The Walking Dead series, and there have been others in that kind of vein that I've enjoyed. But I am the sort of person who gets frustrated when a puzzle eludes me. Like, it makes me feel stupid when I can't solve the puzzle.
I do find that with puzzle games, you're like solving the puzzles. Like, oh, I'm a genius, and then you get stuck on one. You're, oh, I'm an idiot. I hate this. So yeah, there were a couple of tricky ones in this, but I played through with my wife and we persevered, and so yeah, came out feeling incredibly intelligent.
Ooh. That's also what coding websites feels like, isn't it? You oscillate between feeling like a genius and feeling like the dumbest person on earth. Okay, I thought it was going to be a puzzle to get out of the boat then, but then she just got out.
Let's see if I can find any trace of you around here.
Okay, let's look for some clues, shall we? Is a shell a clue?
It's just resonance.
No. What's over here?
Sure to absorb the beautiful scenery. You're on a tropical island.
It is a beautifully rendered little island.
A miniature va'a, a Polynesian outrigger canoe. Beautifully crafted.
Okay. Ooh, machete.
This machete is completely worn down. The blade is dull. A note written in French. I only understand 2 words, il and mort. Island and death.
My French is not very good, so I'm not sure.
No, mine's rusty, but it's not pivotal to the story by any stretch.
It must be a warning about the dangers of the island.
A bit of mood setting.
Dangerous island. Got it. Let's head straight into this cave.
I feel quite good. I dare say I might even walk a little faster than usual.
So for context, we started the game recently having needed a walking stick to walk. So we're on this island and now we can walk and
I'll
run.
make a note of them in my journal. It might come in handy.
We don't want to give too much away, so we won't solve all the puzzles, obviously. Just thought it was an interesting game to check out. And you say you finished this?
Yeah, we did it in obviously making full use of the festive relaxation period and not doing a lot else. But it was a couple of sessions to play through, maybe, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours, I guess, something like that. Okay. Maybe even a bit less. But that was a nice...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just for sort of a size of game that was really nice. It was kind of satisfying. I got to experience it all, but after having recently played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which was a very big commitment of time, it was quite a nice, digestible, little smaller experience.
Okay, some creepy statues. I feel like we've got to solve one puzzle on camera. That's got to be the goal.
Yeah, I think that's.
Somebody wants to keep outsiders off this island. From what I've read, the Polynesians don't need doors. So why build such a big one? Well, that did something.
Okay.
I feel like this sort of game is all the more challenging when you are on camera.
Yeah, so if you're at home, don't write in that I'm stupid. You try playing it on camera. Okay, this one just doesn't move. Does that definitely not move, or is that me? Okay.
Doesn't look like it moves.
Something's missing here.
Something's missing. Okay, this one's got like a top piece, and this one doesn't. So maybe... let's have a look around one of those.
This box. CW. Those are the initials on the brass key.
We found a brass key earlier on the boat before we left.
It. So whoever sent me this key was here.
Looks like the piece I'm after. And it looks like it's maybe underground underneath a rock covered in flowers.
Scavenger hunt. A carving tool.
So yes.
Let's have a look for that then. Back this way, do we reckon?
I reckon. It's really interesting. You can see the game design elements coming through here. So the way they've lit this up really sort of draws your attention and relates it to that clue in that image.
Well, look what's hidden here.
Boom. Let's put that in, see what difference that makes.
There we go. How's your intelligence level feeling now?
I mean, I feel like that was a bit of a gimme, wasn't it? That was like the tutorial.
Warming up.
This may
But
be the first time I trespass a private property. My childhood in Newburyport wasn't exactly the most thrilling thing.
What have we got here? We've got some cooking stuff. Ooh, a photograph, that's going to be important.
Is that Harry? Harry, you were here.
Harry's my husband
You
in
were
the
here
game,
and
I
I
believe.
found you. Damn it.
That
Where
is
are we
correct.
now? Where is everybody? Where did you and all your crew go?
This is available on PC and on the Xbox family of consoles. I'm playing it on PC here with an Xbox controller.
Lady Shannon? That name sounds familiar. I'd better check
yeah,
my
I played it
journal.
on Xbox Game Pass over Christmas. Very playable on the console as well as on PC.
She said to check her journal, but I can't see anything in there about Shannon yet. I guess let's keep going.
So I was also very impressed with the voice acting of this main
Years since I
character.
took such a long walk. This fresh air is doing me wonders.
Sissy Jones, I believe, is the actor.
I can feel
Yeah,
the
it's good
air
work.
is denser here in this mangrove swamp.
And again, in the interest of time, another feature of those unis, whatever they called them. You may have noticed there's prongs on the top.
Yeah.
And so each one of those kind of corresponds to a numeric sequence, which we'll decipher in a moment. Obviously, I won't give you all this help in your full playthrough.
What, so like this one
So keep-
means 4, does it?
3. It's the missing prong is the indicator.
Okay. Oh, what's this? I didn't see that the first time I was here.
No, yes, exactly.
Is that what you were trying to point me to?
Yes.
How did I
you just blasted straight
just
past
walk
it.
right past it?
In your excitement.
Okay. There's stuff going on here.
This reminds me of those slot machines that Harry and I saw at the Atlantic City Pier, but a Polynesian version.
Sun. It was sun, right?
Yep.
Mountains was 3.
Yep.
I remember that. So were birds 2?
Yes, very good.
Sea will be 4, and fish was 5.
Well, I guess I hit the jackpot.
Hey!
There we
we're
go.
Geniuses.
That's my ticket across the river then.
Although not really.
It took 2 of us. I actually had to write them down, just in case you didn't remember them.
Nice. So yeah, this is Call of the Sea. It's available right now. Like Dan said, it's on Game Pass. So if you have that, you should check it out. And yeah, fun little point-and-click puzzle game. We're going to throw it back to the studio, and we will probably see you again in like 10 seconds, but live. See ya.
So yeah.
Forgot to turn my mic on there for a second. That's embarrassing. First show back. That was Call of the Sea on played on PC via Xbox Game Pass, and school's in session now because Ben Joy's here to teach us all something about the world of video games. Ben, thanks for coming on the show.
No worries. Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on. It's nice to see you live from your living room in Leeds this week, right?
I am in Leeds at the moment. Yes, I came up here for Christmas and might be here for a while.
The English Riviera.
Yeah, as it seems. So yeah, I'll be coming from here for at least another week or two, I would imagine.
Yeah. What are you here to tell the folks about today? You hear about fashion in games, right?
I am, and I'm pretty hurt by what Dan said. That was very mean. Even though I was going to say it myself, self-deprecating, it's harsher when someone else says it. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
So Dan
it's fine for me to rag on myself, but come on, Dan.
Dan suggested that maybe you weren't the authority on fashion that you're about to claim to be, but I think you've got this.
Thank you.
So you're talking about collaborations, basically, between gaming brands and fashion companies. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with something that happened this week, which was quite shocking. Is maybe too far, but quite surprising to happen. So The Sims is well known for collabing with brands. It's a pretty good game to collab with, especially for lifestyle brands because it's a lifestyle game. And they recently collabed with MAC, the makeup company, to release what was a new eyeline wear. So you could get these in the game, and then you can buy the real things to wear. And it's not gone down very well. It's an example of how not to do a collab, really. So fans have criticised it, saying it feels lazy, it doesn't really fit. And the problem is that it's now come out that it's an old line. It's not new. It's like previously a line that they've run before that they've just brought back. And reading an interview that they did about the collab, they kind of span on that it was, new and specifically designed for this. And fans have basically said, no, this doesn't link to Sims 4 at all. It's literally just an old line you've rolled out and thrown the Sims logo on. And
they didn't even change the names, right? So it's like all the individual components that you get. Obviously, this is straight white guy explains makeup to you at home. But, they have names, these individual ingredients, components, bits of makeup that you get in the set. And they didn't even have, Sims-themed names or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the packaging, it's like it's a blue box, like the Sims blue that just says the Sims 4, and you open it up and it is just the colours with the regular names. And it's kind of like that's not how you do a collaboration. A collaboration is not going stick a logo on there. We're a partnership. We're in this together, pushing this forward. It's kind of it is very lazy. And for two big companies, like EA and for Mac to do that, it's kind of like you've really missed the mark, and you wouldn't expect it from companies of this size, and especially EA, and with The Sims, who've been there and done that. I mean, they've done really great collabs in the past. They had a good one with H&M. They had a really good one with IKEA in the past. Things that made sense, and they actually look like they put some effort in. Whereas this just seems to have been an afterthought and been rolled out and not really thought about. So that's an example of how not to do it.
Yeah, Emma Budd in the chat's got a comment which I think I should read out on air. She said, "That's it. Take away their ladders from their swimming pool."
Yes, we've all done that. We've all done that. Or stick them in a room with the fireworks, set the fireworks off, take the doors out. If you want to go out with a bang.
So if you want to do it well, then have you got some examples of people who've done it well recently that you want to contrast with?
Yes, there's actually a direct comparison. So it's not in games, but makeup brand, which I hadn't heard of until I was looking into this, called Colourpop. And they've done quite a lot of collabs before. And very recently, they have done a collab with Disney and The Mandalorian, which I finally watched all of it now. Love it. Thanks for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
And they did it with The Mandalorian. And if you look at, it's called The Child. So it's immediately been named after something relevant to The Mandalorian. You look at the packaging, and it's got Baby Yoda all over it. You open the box, and it's got a mirror, and it says the shiniest star in the universe and stuff like that. And the colors are all
Baby Yoda green.
Yeah, they're kind of they fit the color tone of the show, and they have names that are relevant for the show. So there's stuff I wrote it down. So there's one that's like an orangey one, which is just like a Tatooine. There's one little frog. Right-hand Mando. So if you've watched the show and you're interested in it, it's caught your attention because you're like, oh, I like this makeup brand, or I like that show, I'm going to look at this makeup brand. You can see that the effort's been put in, and that's a collaboration. Yeah. That's been thought out and rolled out well, as opposed to them going, oh, everyone's, a lot of people like The Mandalorian, let's partner with Disney and throw that logo on there, and we'll say it's a collab. Like, it's just a stark contrast of a company that's nowhere near the size doing it so much better. Obviously, Disney is huge. So I'm more referring to Colourpop against Mac and NEA. But that's an example of how to do it well, and that lands really well, and that's people like that. If you're going to do it lazily, basically just don't do it, because it's only going to hurt. It's not going to help.
Yeah, I think we've talked, or we always maybe struggle to put it into words, but there's this idea, in our space that games have like a DNA to them. Like, if you want to get like crazy scientists about it, when you're talking about a marketing campaign or a collaboration or a website or a companion app, whatever it is that you're doing that's part of your brand, it should have your brand's DNA in it. It should feel like your brand. It should share, common principles with your brand, tone of voice with your brand. And I think, the Sims one definitely missed the mark. And it's good to hear that other companies are doing better. Are you going to buy the Mandalorian makeup set?
You say that as in future tense, if I haven't already. It's the first thing I did after I.
I mean, it would have been a great reveal for the show if you would come on the show wearing the makeup. That would have been
that would have been the ultimate shutdown to Dan's comment of me not being very fashionable if I'd rocked up in my Mandalorian.
I actually think if you come on in like bright silver, whatever they call it, you put under your eyes, I think that would have impressed me severely. I think you could rock that look. I don't think you should listen to what Dan says. I think you could.
No, I'm not going to. He'll know that I very rarely listen to the things that he says to me.
What about outside makeup then? What are some other examples of companies that are treading this line successfully?
So there's one which, again, has just happened very recently, and you could say if it wasn't the current situation in the world, it probably would be really successful, but the timing is terrible, which leads to kind of thinking, well, it doesn't actually make that much sense. So in something that's happened in the fashion world outside of video games, so Gucci have kind of paired up with the North Face because Gucci are more wanting to get more into the outside vibe, more into interested in the world outside and getting out and getting active. So they've paired up with the North Face, and subsequently what they've just done is that pairing has now paired up with Niantic and Pokemon Go, and they've released specific areas across different countries where you can go to these Pokestops and you can get Gucci North Face, branded stuff for your characters, which is great, except you can't really go outside at the moment.
You can have your exercise. You're allowed to do that.
You can, but the problem that there is right now is that in the UK, especially, you can only get them in London. Right. It's nowhere else, and because of the nature of the game, they're at specific locations,
built up areas.
So naturally, you don't want to be encouraging people all to go to the same place. So it's a well thought out collaboration, and it's been done well. It's just at the wrong time.
Come back in 2022, Gucci. We're ready for you then.
In unrelated, I saw that Gucci as well they're selling like a £10,000 virtual clothes, which kind of, it's not gaming, but it kind of is
for
in
Pokemon
that
Go.
space.
Or...
No. This is separate to Pokemon Go. It's just interesting that kind of how the world is going, and we're living in that virtual space. I mean, it seems crazy to me that someone would spend £10,000 on a virtual piece of clothing, but it's a thing.
Hang on, how do you put on these virtual clothes?
I believe there's like I believe there's like an avatar, an avatar wears it, but to me that seems crazy. I don't understand.
It's like the Bitcoin of clothes. you can't touch it or use it, but it has value.
Yeah, it has value. Yeah, it's weird to me, but they've done it, so I would hope some kind of research told them that somebody would want to buy that.
You've actually got a blog on the Etch website at etchuk.com/play, all about brands and how some other examples of brands that have worked well with companies. So what I might do is I might put that in the chat for people if they want to go and see this, if they're watching us live on Twitch right now. Are there any other things you want to talk about before we wrap things up for the first live show of the year? So another example of it being done well, maybe less of a collaboration, but more brands getting into the gaming space. So the game we talk a lot about, Animal Crossing. So obviously a lot of fashion shows couldn't happen, like Fashion Week couldn't happen in 2020.
So that kind of happened in Animal Crossing. There were lots of brands that kind of got involved kind of informally, where they put themselves in it rather than a direct collaboration. But there was brands like Valentino and Anna Sui, apologies if I butchered that, who actually did partner with Animal Crossing, and you could get those branded like garments that they put into the game. Yep. Again, that was a good example of a collab, and something that I stumbled across as well that was interesting, and I'm definitely going to butcher this name. I think it's an Italian fashion company called Balenciaga. So they actually released their line for fall 2020 in a game that they made themselves. So it wasn't linked with an existing video game IP. They released their line in a game that they created themselves, and it was called, I wrote it down, Afterworld: The Age of Tomorrow, and it was web-based, so anybody could play it, which made it really inclusive. It wasn't you have to buy anything or have anything other than a device that goes on the internet. And essentially you walked around this world that they had created, and the NPCs were all wearing the clothing lines, and just to make it a bit more interesting, you walked through like the city and got directed to go to this rave, and then through onto this mountain where you're then revealed to be some kind of like warrior wearing armor, and it looked brilliant. You can't play it anymore from when I was poking around, but there's a video to watch kind of how it worked and stuff. So it's an interesting space to be, fashion and gaming. There's a lot happening. We could talk about it for 2-3 hours and not scratch the surface, because there's so much
show's not that long, Ben.
We're not going to talk about it for 2-3 hours.
Show sticks to a strict 45-minute or less policy.
Yeah, but yeah, there's lots going on. It makes sense because so many people express themselves through video games, and there are always typically characters in there, and especially when there's human characters, people want to dress them up and wear them and wear clothes. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, and I think more and more brands are going to get in on it, and I think you'll start seeing more and more the contrast between the real world and the digital world, and you'll see them in both. So things you can get in the game, you can get in real life, so that people can mirror those worlds rather than being totally separate.
Well, thank you very much for joining the show today, Ben. I appreciate it, as always. Thank you for bringing some fashion and some makeup tips to a show that otherwise has never had them before.
Always, as you say, we're definitely the authority in it. Myself and you.
I feel like I should have at least Googled makeup before we started. I had no idea.
I don't know. You got away with it when you said that thing you put under your eye. I think
that's as technical as I get. And thanks to you at home for watching. If you liked the show and you're not already following us on Twitch, now is a great time to follow us on Twitch, because you can press the button. It's purple. It's just down there at the bottom right of the screen. I can see that during the show, Rob Knight has followed us. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate it. Anyone else who follows really quickly might get a shout out if they get it in time. If you're watching us on YouTube on Catch Up, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can watch it all on Catch Up at your leisure. You can watch that middle of the night if you want to, if that's your vibe. It doesn't have to be 4 p.m. for you. It could be 4 p.m. anywhere. And we'll be back next week for more of the latest industry news and discussion from the world of video games. I've been Adam Burt. This is Ben Joy. And earlier in the show was Dan Thomas. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again very soon. You ready for the awkward outro, Ben? Yeah, just keep waiting. Yep. Here comes the music. Slowly going to fade it in. Here it comes.
Hit it. We are definitely fashion into it, my friend.